My son, this story begins with two brothers. But it is not about sibling rivalry. It is about wholeness and fracture. About what happens when a tribe recognizes excellence in one man and neglect in another, then refuses to act. Baldr is the complete man. Not just good looking or gifted, but truly whole. He radiates strength, joy, and discipline in equal measure. He is chosen not because he seizes power, but because others naturally follow him. This kind of man doesn't need to prove himself. His presence is enough. His balance, his beauty, his spirit, all speak for him. And Höðr? Höðr is no villain. He's strong, brave, and capable, but he is blind. Sometimes the myths say it literally, sometimes they mean it spiritually, but what matters is this: he is missing something. Not evil, just unfinished. In our world, we know this pattern. Baldr is the son raised with structure, fatherly guidance, brotherhood, and challenge. Höðr is the boy raised in softness, by overprotection, by absence, by fear. He's told he is equal to his radiant brother, but deep down he knows he isn't. And instead of being forged into manhood through hardship and initiation, he's told, "You're fine just the way you are." This is the seed of shame, and shame turns into envy. What happens when a man raised in shame is given a weapon? Not just a literal one, but a moral one, a justification. In the myth, it's a poisoned spear handed to Höðr by Loki, but we should not be distracted by names. Loki is not just a trickster god. In this story, he represents the hostile influence, the force from outside the tribe that tells broken sons, "Your resentment is righteous." In modernity, the poisoned spear isn't bronze, it's ideology. It's language like toxic masculinity, privilege, and oppression. It's the whisper that says, "That strong man is your enemy, his excellence is your chains, and his leadership is your oppression." And Höðr, the fractured son, he doesn't want to hurt his brother. He doesn't even know that what he's been handed will kill. But he throws it, because deep down he aches to be seen, to matter. And something has finally given him permission. And so the light leaves the world. There's something we don't talk about often enough. Höðr wasn't raised, he was managed. The tribe saw he was blind, they saw he was alone. But instead of initiating him, guiding him, giving him real struggle to shape him, they wrapped him in comfort and sympathy. They told themselves he didn't need a father, that he was just different, that he'd find his way. But that's not love. That's neglect dressed up as compassion. And when his drift became dangerous, when his resentment and confusion finally spilled into action, the same people who claimed to love him turned their backs. Not because he was a monster, but because he was no longer useful, no longer productive, a problem they didn't know how to solve. We do this today. We raise boys in fatherless homes. We deny them brotherhood. We teach them to fear their own strength and apologize for being men. And when they grow up to be bitter, addicted, angry, or lost, we call them incels. We shame them, we exile them, and we pretend it isn't our fault. But Höðr didn't fail the tribe. The tribe failed Höðr. This story is not about divine destiny, it's about responsibility. and that means it is a test. A test of whether a people will take the burden of fatherhood seriously. A test of whether a tribe will guide its broken sons before they break something precious. Baldr's death isn't just a tragedy, it's failure. Not just Höðr's, but ours. The gods watched. The tribe watched. They saw the fracture. They saw the light. They saw the rising tension, and no one stepped in. And so the spear was thrown. If there's a question the myth asks, it's this. Will you forge your sons before they fall? Will you take responsibility for the ones who need it most before they are weaponized? And when they falter, will you abandon them or guide them? That is the test. And it comes again and again and again. When Baldr dies, the gods do not rage. They do not act. They grieve. Odin rides into hell not as a warrior, but as a father who's waited too long. His journey is not one of vengeance, but of sorrow. He asks for his son's return, and hell offers a condition. If all things in the world will weep for Baldr, he may come back. And nearly all do. The trees weep, the stones shed tears, even iron rusts, but one refuses. This moment matters. That refusal is not just Loki, it is us. It is the tribe refusing to take responsibility. It is pride that cannot admit failure. It is a culture that would rather forget than mourn. And so the gate remains closed. This is what happens when we don't grieve, when we don't face what we've lost, when we pretend we didn't have a hand in the death of something good. Baldr doesn't return not because the gods lack power, but because the tribe lacks humility. There is one figure in the story who is often overlooked. Nanna. She dies when Baldr dies, not by murder, but by heartbreak or guilt. Nanna isn't just Baldr's wife. She represents something larger, the soul of the tribe, the feminine harmony that knows truth when it sees it and grieves it when it's lost. Her choice to follow Baldr in death is a mirror held up to the tribe. She doesn't just mourn him, she recognizes the loss for what it is. She sees what was destroyed and why. And in that reflection, the tribe sees itself. This is not a sentimental death, it is a reckoning. Nanna dies because what she loved most, the light of masculine excellence and wholeness, was allowed to perish. Her death is the feminine conscience of the tribe that finally understands what it did. Now we come to Odin. He does not scream, he does not give speeches, he rides. Alone. He is not a hero in this moment. He is a father who realizes he waited too long, a king who deferred too much, a god who watched and now must descend. He rides into hell not as an act of power, it is an act of sorrow and of responsibility. He meets Baldr. He asks for his return. He is told it depends on the tribe. And he watches as the tribe refuses to cry. Odin is not just the grieving father, he is the prodigal father, the one who returns after the damage is done. His absence was not malicious, but it was costly. This is the modern West. Fathers distracted, kings silent, men watching too long, waiting too long, and then, when the light is gone, they ride, but by then, the damage is done. Odin's journey is not a rescue, it's a reckoning. Haunting the land is the Dark Rider, the father of self-imposed exile leading the wild hunt. We live in Höðr's world now. A world shaped not by excellence, but by avoidance, by shame, by silence. A world where the tribe has been conditioned to believe that this is normal, that disconnection is normal, that mediocrity is progress, and that fatherlessness is fine. And that loss of fire, the loss of hierarchy, virtue, courage, and meaning is something we must simply accept. But this isn't normal. It's failure institutionalized. That's why we look to the past, not to escape the present, but to remember what was possible. To remember the men who actually built the civilizations we live in. Men who actually landed on the moon, men who sailed wooden ships across oceans, who climbed icy peaks and walked under uncharted forests, who forged laws, raised stone cathedrals, and stood against the chaos at the gates. They did not live in Höðr's world, they lived in Baldr's. And if you feel that the modern world is constantly mocking those men, belittling their strength, erasing their names, shaming their ambition, and downplaying their legacy, you're not imagining it. It's happening. Because this world is built on their bones. And those who can never match them would rather convince you their greatness was a myth than dare to follow it. They want you to forget. They want you to believe that the age of kings is over, that the path of noble action is closed, that your reward comes not in this life but in the next. So settle in, embrace your misery, and call it virtue. But that isn't stoicism, that's surrender. Stoicism endures hardship in pursuit of greatness. Surrender says, this is all you'll ever have, get used to it. Don't believe it. Our ancestors gave us more than myths. They gave us a model. Hercules was not just a tale. Thor was not just thunder. They were the embodiment of strength, struggle, responsibility, and masculine enterprise. They were not meant to entertain you. They were meant to instruct you. This is the path, my son. And though the world has grown dim, the road still stands. Worn, yes, forgotten by many, but it's there. And the fire that once lit it, it's in you. Until next time.